Hey guys, my name's Erik. I'm a driver engineer for Pompano Beach Fire Rescue. I'm also the owner of Florida High Performance, which is also located in Pompano Beach. We recently had a call where a patient got trapped inside of their Corvette. There are 3 versions of the Corvette that have emergency release features inside and outside of the vehicle. Given my background and over 20 years experience working on these specific vehicles, I had the knowledge and the know-how to help the patient self-extricate from the vehicle. And in this video, I'm gonna highlight 3 different generation Corvettes, starting with the C8, moving on to the C7 and the C6. All of these vehicles have emergency release capabilities, both inside and outside the vehicle. And more importantly, if the battery were to die, I will show you how the person can get themselves out of the vehicle with your assistance. The first Corvette we're gonna start with is the C8, the 8th generation Corvette, which started production in 2020 and is currently still being produced by General Motors. So the first thing we're going to discuss on the C8 Corvette is how to get into the vehicle with a key fob if the battery was to die. In other words, somebody walks up to you and says, "Hi, I'm locked out of my Corvette. I have the keys, but the car has no power. What can I do?" You'll be able to show them with a key fob how to get into the vehicle. In my hand here is the standard C8 Corvette key fob. Now, if you're lucky, this key fob actually has a key hidden in it. A lot of people don't know that. So you're going to depress the small button here on the fob, and that is going to allow the key to come out. Now, you can take this key and you can put it in one of 2 places on this vehicle to get into the car. The first and main location you're going to locate is underneath the door handle on the driver's side door. You'll simply insert the key into the keyhole, push the key all the way in, and turn, and that will release the door. Now, I did mention there's a second location that is directly behind the license plate. If for some reason the door is damaged or the keyhole is not accessible, you can remove the license plate. That will expose a keyhole. It's going to work the same way. Put the key in, turn, and it's going to go ahead and open up the hatch for you. Now that we've gained access to the inside of the vehicle, let's say, for instance, the occupant needs to get into what we call the frunk area, right? It's the front of the vehicle. If you reach up underneath the dashboard, just to the left of the steering column, you'll notice there's a little cable and a loop. They're going to pull that cable, and that's going to release the front hatch. Guys, it's important to note that the battery location on the C8 Corvette is actually located at the front of the vehicle. Once you get this hatch open, you remove these plastics here, and the battery is located directly underneath. So if you need to cut a cable, if you need to gain access to the battery to jump the vehicle, that's where it's going to be located, and that's why it's important to know how to get into the area of this vehicle. So if you notice on the passenger and the driver's side floorboard along the rocker panel, there's going to be an emergency release. So if the occupant's in the car, right, and they can't open the door, the battery's died, you simply have to just instruct them to reach down, run their hands along the rocker panel, and pull up the lever, and that will release the door. Also, guys, it's important to note that on a lot of these vehicles, the roof, the target top, actually comes out. In this particular case, on this model, you're going to have 3 levers. You're going to have 2 here at the front that you're going to release, and then you're going to have a 3rd in the center, right? So you would instruct the occupant to go ahead and release all 3 levers, and then you can push the roof off the top of this car. Now, that wouldn't be a normal means of getting in and out of this vehicle, obviously, but in an emergency situation, perhaps they're pinned, the door is damaged, whatever the case is, and they can't open it, check and see if that roof comes out, have them take the roof off, and they can get out that way as well. Now that we've covered the C8 in depth, we're going to move on to the C7, the 7th generation Corvette, which was produced between the years of 2014 and 2019 by General Motors. Fortunately, the C7 shares many of the same features that the C8 does, which makes things a little easier to remember. It's a standard key fob, and within the key fob is a key that's going to allow you to get into the vehicle if the battery dies and you're on the outside of the vehicle. Now, unlike the C8, the 7th generation Corvette only has 1 location for the key. Right, so after you remove the key from the key fob, you're going to go to the rear of the vehicle, and above the license plate, just to the right, if you run your fingers along here, you'll feel there's a keyhole here. You're going to take the key, you're going to insert it into the hole, right, and then you're going to turn until the rear hatch opens, gaining you access to the vehicle. Now, like the C8, the C7 shares a similar design, that it has an emergency pull along the floorboard on both the driver and passenger side, as well as a removable target top, which is going to share the same release features as the C8. With respect to battery location on the C7 Corvette, unlike the C8 where it's located in the front, the C7's battery location is located in the rear, The right rear passenger cargo area, if you pull up the carpeting, take out a piece of styrofoam, you'll gain access to the battery. You'll have both the positive and negative cables. Should you need to access the battery, that's where it's located. We're gonna move on now to the 6th generation Corvette we call the C6. It was produced between the years of 2005 and 2013 by General Motors. Now guys, on the 6th generation Corvette, there's something to note. You may have a different key fob design. The earlier Corvettes, the 05 and 06, 07s, had a separate key and fob, whereas the 08 and later had the fob and key integrated. Now, similar to the C7, right, you have one location to put your key in a 6th gen Corvette. Keyhole is gonna be located just above the rear license plate. You're gonna put the key in the keyhole, turn the key, and that will gain access to the hatch area. But just like the C7, right, the C6, once you're into the hatch area, you're gonna see 2 pulls. You're actually gonna see one here for the gas door, which is not gonna be needed in this particular case. And then of course, our door release. It's gonna work the same way. You're just gonna pull it and your door will pop open. Now guys, on the C6 Corvettes, depending on the model, whether it's a Grand Sport, a Z06, or a base model, some of these roofs are and are not removable. In this particular case, this roof does not come out. This is a Z06. Z06s have fixed roofs. Some other cars do have the target top, the removable top. So depending on the situation, you'll have to have the person check and see what they have. But nonetheless, just like the other 2 vehicles we've shown you, we do have the emergency release pulls along the floor on both the passenger and driver side, which will open the doors. Now, with respect to battery location on the C6 only, guys, it can be located in one of 2 locations depending on the vehicle's oiling system. Either the back rear passenger compartment, like the C7, or in the front under the hood. If you pop the hood on the passenger side, you could have a battery there as well. So depending on the vehicle and the model, you'll just have to check and see. On behalf of everyone here at Florida High Performance, we thank you for watching. We hope you found great value in this video. If you ever find yourself in this situation, one of these vehicles, now you know not only how to get in, but out of the vehicle, help the occupants, and at the end of the day, save lives. Thank you, guys.